The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, welcome everyone. We are happy to have you back here at the Social Media Monthly for another fantastic webinar. I'm really looking forward to today's. I've had a chance to briefly see the PowerPoint, and I think it's going to be very, very informative. We have Mike Tirone with us today. Mike is a digital marketing content and search strategist with R2I. He's responsible for developing successful strategies for his clients' digital web presence. And with his expertise in SEO, social media, and content marketing, Mike's assessment of his clients' web presence stems from a holistic approach to optimizing a website for both the user and for the robots. We will be taking questions. Please feel free to submit those during the presentation. We will hold most of the questions till the end, but if there's one that is very pertinent to the discussion at hand, we will interject with those. So at this point, Michael, I'm going to hand it over to you and make you the presenter.
All right. All right. Everyone good to go. Thank you for the intro, Bob.
So we can see your screen great, and you're good to go.
Fantastic. All right. So let's get right into it. This is the main discussion here is search marketing in a social world. So we have obviously the full use of the hashtag search social. We want to make sure that we're tying both these worlds together, even on social media. So let's get into it and talk about the early days of search. We want to kind of get an introduction to where we've come from and where we are now. So the early days of search have, there's been a lot of time since the start of Google and these really introduction of search engines have come out in the past 10 years or so, and it's really transformed over the years. So being able to understand that transformation and that adaptation of the search engines and also search behaviors will paint a clearer picture for where search marketing is today. So let's get right into it. So this slide, seek and ye shall find. So in the early years of search, which we kind of call around 1998 or so, search really kicked off with Google's beta version launching, and that was the beginning of where we started to see this new channel on digital. And so there wasn't really a lot of tools to really work for the search, anyone searching in the search behavior itself. So it was a simple time. There was, like I said, not a lot of tools, but the results were very big because the competition was pretty low. So all you really needed was a basic website, some banner ads, and decent search results would show your success. So, we say we build it and they came. That's truly what happened. It didn't really matter how it looked. It just needed to be present and indexed, and people would come. And the cost of investment was really minimal at that time. So search at that point in its infancy was this hot new trend, and it was really about to kind of blossom. But this big, bright, beautiful world that it was about to join into, when we look back at it now, which this next slide will show you, it really wasn't as beautiful as we think. This is what Google looked like on the left. This is what Google looked like in 1998 in its beta version, and it's not as pretty as we see now. But if you recall using Google back then, this is kind of a flash in the past for you. So on the right, the search results pages or the SERPs, we really do see that it's not as clean as what we are most commonly seeing now today. So this search results page is from 2001 when Google allowed users to search using the old version of their index. So it was kind of a promotion tool that they were using, so you could backtrack and kind of take a trip back in time. But as you can see, the search results page was more directory based, so you had a lot more categories. There was still some geo-targeting, and there were some sponsored links, but really it's very busy, and not one result is really getting the benefit of ranking over another. So the overall view of it is that there's a lot of changes that have come in the search world in upcoming years, and we're kind of going into them. So talking about the middle years now, or the lesser known adolescent, puberty, awkward years, whatever you want to call it. This is when the sects kind of came together, where there's the black hat versus the white hat, and the competition caught on, and marketers got smart, and so we started stuffing web pages with invisible keywords, hoping to game the system. We did keyword stuffing, link building like crazy, and trying to find every which way to get higher rankings, and even at the expense of the web experience and design, which is a big problem what we see today, and it has been started to clean up a little bit. But back then, search was a no-brainer. You turn these knobs, you find the easiest ways to optimize your site for results, and we didn't really find what the return on it was. The greater goal for the business was lost with hyper-focus on search itself. So questions that were asked were, is my success metric being on the first page, or is it the completion of a goal? And what do we know what that goal is, or are we really just trying to drive traffic? So we were battling for top rankings, and there was a lot more competition for keywords, and the metrics were a little hazy, and the ROI was pretty uncertain. But this also introduced the idea of paid search and social. So the middle years were where we would call the formative, and really started to grow the industry of what we see as SEO, but also paid and social. So now today, search today has evolved into a much better mix of powerful algorithms, valuable new channels, and highly active user behavior, and that's what we're more commonly used to seeing now. So as we've heard for over the years, the first thing about search is that content is king, and we hear Matt Cutts talking about it all the time. Content is king, and that it couldn't be truer than it is today, because content is really holding the highest value and the highest priority. And because of that structure that Google's algorithm has done, which is cleaning up that black hat type of SEO that's been going on in the middle years that we were saying, it's cleaned up the bad tactics that were being used in SEO and really driving to the center of what content is, which is good quality items that are online, whether it be news or opinions or images or whatever it may be. So quality content is driving the main traffic, and that's the real purpose of a search engine. Optimization for search crawlers, but also search users. So as Bob's introduction kind of said, my goal is to make sure that I'm tying both the user and the robots together, but also speaking to them in separate entities. So the user needs to be able to control what they see on the front end, what your website looks like. Is there strong user experience? Things like that. And we want to make sure that it is really focusing on that user. But on the back end, we want to make sure that the robots are being spoken to as well. Additionally, priority on engagement and site organization. We want to make sure that we're organizing the site so that the user is comfortable and really easy to follow along. Site structure, so information architecture, and user experience, merging with SEO. That's another important part of today's search landscape as well. Social signals is where it now kind of comes in, where the merging comes together. Tweets and retweet tweets from a URL, authority of person retweeting, the number of Facebook shares and likes of a URL, and +1s from Google+ are all being used and relevant on search engines, search results pages, and causing a serious change in the landscape. So a couple numbers for you to kind of give you a perspective. 68% of all internet searches are conducted on Google. That is the highest that they've had, and since 2007, Google's share of global searches has grown by 1.1% each year. Some of them being in the 5 to 6% range some years, and others just a little bit smaller, but on average, 1.1%. Next stat, 75% of possible engagement a Facebook post gets is in its first 5 hours. And it's even lower with Twitter because of how quickly the newsfeed grows. So what we originally believed to be the real main goal of Facebook and all these other social networks is getting on the newsfeed. Yes, that is important. That is a battleground that we speak to. But also integrating with your website itself. So if you're 75% of your engagement's coming from just the first 5 hours, then what are you doing with the rest of those hours? And how are you actually optimizing your site so you can leverage that content further? The rise of social and the rise of content, they are going hand in hand. So the web has now become a very collaborative network. We have 65% of internet users who are also social network users, and that number is continuing to grow. 2.5 billion social network users will exist worldwide by 2018. So that number continues to grow, and what that means is more content is going to continue to grow as well, be shared, be liked, anything like that. So to optimize your sites, to optimize your owned and unowned channels, you need to make sure that they are tying in with social, because if you're siloing those, you're going to be able to you're going to be speaking to two different audiences where you want to merge those audiences together. The behavior that's happening on social now has changed from when it originally started. Now it is becoming more of an information sharing channel. So there are over 2.5 billion pieces of content shared every day on Facebook, which is an incredible amount, and 4.75 billion items across across Twitter and Facebook. You have 4.75 billion items that are shared daily. So if I was to tell you that your website was getting 0.00001% of those daily items shared, I believe you'd be interested. That's over 47,000 social signals that you could be getting and tying back to your website. So the amount of power that social has now, because that is where most eyeballs are, is the front of the funnel when people are trying to still build their awareness and where they're looking for new brands and content to read. Social is where you enter that funnel. Additional stat, 70% of retweets contain a link. So if you're doing any sort of Twitter strategy, be sure to actually include a link back to your site, because that is how people are going to access it. If you're trying to build awareness, that's great, but you want to make sure that you close the loop and you get that traffic as well. Additional side note is the COIs, or communities of interest. They are unowned channels that challenge brands to join the conversations of their target audiences in authentic and relevant ways. So they are very valuable when trying to expand the breadth of your entire campaign, whether it be social or search. Using communities of interest are a really valuable tool, because they're very hyper-focused on that specific industry or that niche. So Jennifer Sable-Lopez of Moz, she's the director of community at Moz, has said, put as much effort into social as you do into search. So that is a very powerful line to have the person that is arguably in charge of the community of the largest SEO company in the world saying do social. So with that being said, that merging of social and search is vital, and we really want to make sure that we can understand where those ties come together. So before we go into that merging, we want to go into the perception of search versus social marketing. So first off, the climate. It has been exceedingly difficult to expand reach on search and visibility on social. So there's been a bit of a challenge. So maybe there's opportunity to merge the two. The battle zones. The front page does continue to be the main battleground for search traffic, but the newsfeed is no longer the main battle zone for social. That is, as it used to be, as I was explaining previously. It's now infiltrating into the search results pages, into web apps, widgets, mobile devices, and it's becoming a bigger key placement for social itself rather than just the newsfeed that we commonly are staring at. The control is still constant as being the algorithms for success metrics, but quality user-centric content is starting to outweigh some of those algorithms itself, and really showing a value to the way that we are looking at search and social. In terms of targeting, keywords in search are now becoming more category-based or topic-based, while social targeting still remains to be focused around the gender, age, likes or groups that you're involved in, and specifically geo-targeting, if it is allowed to be targeted. Metrics, both channel metrics are becoming more commonplace for digital marketing strategies, and what once was difficult metrics to show ROI are now quantifiable. And so we want to make sure that we are starting to learn the metrics a little bit more of social and starting to understand the metrics that we are being able to get from search results or search engines as well, because some of them are taken away. For instance, about a year and a half ago, search was stripped, or from Google at least, search was stripped of all keyword data, so you couldn't see which keyword brought in a specific amount of traffic through one of Google's updates. So we're really trying to make more of a collaborative network with the search and social merging. So currently there are 1.79 billion social network users, and as we said, that it's going to continue to grow in 2018 to about 2.5 billion. So being able to speak to both audiences with this kind of collision is what the main goal of obviously this presentation, but also your all additional marketing strategy. So we have this Venn diagram that's showing what search does. So search provides information for people related to their specific needs. Social, on the other side, has more user-generated content with the capability to share opinions, content, information that may be valuable to others. I put in maybe because sometimes the things that are being shared on social are actually not valuable at all, but some may feel that it is actually valuable. So where they merge, what happens when you do kind of collide these two channels together, you have great use for link potential. So the stronger link authority that you have, and you will be able to grow more traffic through this stronger link authority. Additionally, the more search queries, the volume of search queries that happen equates to more impressions for your brand. In turn, that comes with more clicks if optimizing effectively. And site engagement if you are personalizing appropriately as well to the user. So a quick stat about personalization. The CPCstrategy.com did a survey of all of their clients, a very large list of their clients, and it showed that 64% of their client base were unaware that Google search results were personalized. And to understand that Google search results are now being personalized to your metrics, the things that you click on, the location that you are in, any of the values that they can affect is really the main focus of how social, a very personal channel, is merging with search, which has been stripped of a lot of personalization other than the search query. So by personalizing the search results pages, you see higher click-through rates, more engagement, and really just a higher value to the search user. We see that personalization happening with Google Now, telling us relevant news, traffic, weather, on our phones, whenever, in real time. Additionally, brands are doing more personalization. So Coke has their new Share a Coke campaign where they have the name on the label itself. And so that personalization is really valuable and has proven to be very successful. Additionally, higher followed profiles are now showing up on the search pages as well, or the SERPs, excuse me. And additionally, achieving co-citation or mentions on social without a link still adds to brand awareness and sends out larger brand signals. So this is the sweet spot that we're trying to look for when optimizing your search and your social channels. And the reason we do it is because digital behaviors have changed. There's been a shift. And so we started from PCs, and now we're going from mobile and touchscreen devices. We originally started from email and telephone, and now we're going to social networks. From traditional bundled content to fragmented and long-tail media. So it's, once again, it's being more hyper-focused. From programmed to user-driven video consumption. So the name of the game really is user personalization. People want to share with the community what they like, and the digital technology wants to spread that content better. So the questions that need to be asked of this are, who is on my social channels? You know, what information can I get from who is on these? Is there personas that I can map to? Are we really dropping the ball with who's really liking our Facebook page or who's following us on Twitter. Additionally, who's searching for the brand, being able to identify branded versus non-branded search. Those are key components. Why is it important to know? Why do we want to be focusing on search and social? That's a big question for a lot of people investing a lot of money into this. Why is it important? Can I see the ROI? And the answer is yes, there's a very strong value. You need to be able to understand those KPIs that come together, and we'll explain those a little bit later. How can you find it out? Using appropriate analytics tools, making sure that you benchmark all of your successes and losses, and making sure that you annotate the changes that you've made to your website and to your social channels, and what to do with the information. It's great to be able to correlate all that data, but you need to be able to actually show impact with the data that you've been given. So how to make content work? So we have these 3 questions, and they all have much deeper questions that kind of underlie underneath each of them. So why is it important to know why content can work or not? Well, what is the value proposition of this content? Is it speaking to your audience wants, needs, and pain points? Because if it's not, then the engagement is probably pretty poor. So we want to make sure that you are speaking to the wants and needs and pain points of the personas that you intend to reach to. The how can you find out, or how can you find out if the content's working? Are people finding this content? Where are they finding it? Is it on Facebook, Pinterest? Is it through the search results pages? Is it word of mouth? Content creators like, or content curators, excuse me, like BuzzFeed, Gizmodo, Paperly, etc. How can you find out if the content's actually working? Well, the engagement, if it's being engaged with, if it's being interacted with, if people are searching for it rather than just clicking from referral sources. So if you see that search behavior is increasing for particular keywords or a brand that you're looking for, then that's showing that it's taking effect across all channels. And it may be word of mouth, it may be through social, but however it is, that you can track how you can find out if it's working and if it's good. What to do with the information. So what are these audience members doing with it specifically? Are they sharing it, retweeting it, reposting, pinning, or are they bouncing off the page itself and not going further down the funnel and going into your website or liking your Facebook page or following your Twitter? If you can answer these questions about your content, then you'll be able to understand how to make it work more effectively. So if you struggle with grasping the ability to quantify your content, look at some of the KPIs like web engagement metrics like time on site, bounce rate, click-through rates, event completion rates, and then pair that with those social engagements. So shares, likes, clicks, channels, or you're not, your content's not really strong enough. It's a little bit thin. And those are really strong indicators to see if your content is working appropriately or not. So social activity, as we know, is peaking and is the causation for search behavior. So by optimizing your website for search in a social world will much better place you in the ability to reach a larger audience and impact users' online behaviors throughout the awareness and consideration phases before the user is in the market to convert or buy. So social content and SEO visibility. So these screenshots are coming from Yelp. So user-generated content from Yelp has very high ranking authority. Any search queries with the word reviews in it, Yelp will be ranking for. And so this is a great snapshot of what it means to affect a search results and the search behavior with social user-generated content. So you see people are reviewing particular food and takeout and delivery to the most hyper-focused area, so to a specific city, and it's strictly to takeout food. So you can see the search results page on the left snapshot, seeing the true effect of when someone is searching for the best takeout in Boston, they're being given, served up, the most effective content possible. And whether it's because of Yelp or if your website is being able to mark up the site appropriately to show more microdata on the search results pages. The higher you are up on the page, the more eyeballs that are on it, the more opportunity for people to click. So obviously, we know that if you are in the food service industry, Yelp is a massive tool to be able to take advantage of. And it's not only just to have good Yelp reviews, but it's to optimize your website so that when you do get good reviews, you can leverage them appropriately on your social channels and have them get a little bit of virality and then show up on the search results page as well. The next one is these knowledge graphs that are fairly new to Google. They arrived, I think, about 4 years ago and have been taking up a little bit more space on the search results pages. The reason for this was because there are larger websites that have more user-generated content, like Wikipedia. The ability to get people in front of the content that they want faster rather than having to click that extra link on the research results pages allows for a greater experience for a Google user. So as Google has kind of shown, search for a person, place, or thing, and you'll see the new information powered by the knowledge graph. So you search for Leonardo da Vinci, you get information getting pulled from Wikipedia itself, which Wikipedia is becoming such a large search engine in itself that being able to optimize your site, mark up your site with schema.org or any other microdata to allow for search engines to index your site's social content as well as general topics like Wikipedia does. So it's taking up more real estate on the search page, and it's making for a larger opportunity for social pages to gain more visibility. And even better, it's pushing your competitors down the rankings. Also, to go back to that, optimizing your company's Wikipedia page is really one of the first steps to gaining better visibility online for you. Additional changes in the algorithms that recently, just in the past 3 or 4 months, Google has now opened up its news articles to a few more larger news providers. So Reddit is one of them. And so Reddit is a very large and incredibly high value website that has a lot of user-generated content, and some of it's a little bit, a little bit aggressive, as you could say. It's not as censored as Google may be, but now that they are starting to be added into the search results pages, you're seeing this merge of user-generated content ending up on the search results pages. So you look at the left screenshot, and you have a quote, the full-on quote from a Twitter profile, Kim Kardashian, obviously one of the largest social figures out there, and it's ending up as the #3 result on search results page. So having that high profile and linking it to your Twitter account, that becomes news. Granted, she is a newsmaker in itself, whether it be newsworthy or not. That type of power that you can have to control the search results pages outside of just optimizing your website, but having high-profile Twitter accounts and linking them appropriately is very valuable, especially if you have a lot of user-generated content and a lot of reviews of your site. So, as I said, optimizing your content consistently across all channels. So these 3 technical optimizations to benefit your social signals will also, in turn, benefit your visibility and your overall brand awareness. Excuse me. Optimize content consistently across channels. So consistent NAP information, so your name, address, and phone number information of your businesses. If you have those inconsistently or they're unupdated consistently, that shows an impact on your search results pages. So updating all of your businesses, not just on Google, but on 411 or Yellow Pages or Bing or any of these other search engines and directories that show local listings. If you update that NAP information, you will have higher visibility because there's consistency. There's no question to where that location is. Additionally, you want to make sure that your brand name is consistent along with targeted keywords, slogans, website addresses, Really the name of the game for this is consistency on all channels to match your site's optimization is really, really important. The next two, the Open Graph and Twitter Card optimizations, these are kind of going back to the idea of personalizing the web. So connecting your content with social apps and tools only opens up the ability to share and grow your brand awareness. So Open Graph, for those who don't know, is a meta tag that you can add to your content on your site, and so that when it is shared, it has a much more robust value to it. It has the title of the image, or excuse me, title of the article. For instance, if you're posting about a blog or a blog post, essentially, it has the title, it has attributed thumbnail, it also has the description. It really is just strong value to getting that user to click away from the social pages. So whether it be on Twitter or on Facebook. So Open Graph is specific to Facebook. Twitter cards are a little bit more kind of evolving into taking on the same likes of what Facebook has been doing over the years and expanding the size of voice that you have on the newsfeed for social channels. So Twitter cards, you have the ability to add that meta tag onto your content and expand the view. So you see pages that are shared from YouTube, you can actually watch the YouTube video on Twitter rather than having to click off and go to that no follow link. You can just watch it from there. So, there's arguments to saying that, well, I want traffic to my site, so I don't want people to be able to access my content on different social channels. And that was a previous way of doing things. But today, the ability to get your content in front of people, no matter where it's located, is the highest value possible. So I want to kind of reiterate one of the most recent social, I guess, campaigns that have come out that was really impressive to me, and a lot of the search and social world is this one band, OK Go, and they're very known for their outlandish music videos, and so I'm going to play a little bit of it just to kind of show you how impressive the content is itself. So when we're talking about what makes good content, we want to talk about how to optimize your content, obviously, to make it intriguing and have it high quality, but then tying it together with how it's then pushed to social and how it's distributed and how it's been leveraged across so many different channels. So I'm going to play it here. I hope that we're able to actually hear it because the song itself is good too. Let's see. If
Mike, hey, we're seeing the video, but we're not getting the audio, and it might be because your headset's plugged in. Mike, can you hear me? Well, to the audience, just bear with us for a minute as the video ends, and Mike will come back online.
All right, so I feel like you may not have actually had the audio for that, so I apologize. Like I said, it is actually a very catchy song, but we will we'll be able to provide that, URL for people to actually listen to the song itself. So if you were watching, obviously, if it was on mute, I'm sorry, but fortunately the video and the geometry behind it all was actually very valuable and pretty intriguing for anyone, even if you don't really enjoy music videos. So the creation of this music video was documented and sponsored by Honda, and the reason that they did it was some of the little drones that these guys were riding were obviously this new insertion of this brand and this product that they're trying to initiate. And so the beauty of this marketing campaign and this good marketing campaign that we're kind of calling good content is that they didn't just launch this music video and send it out and say, hey, watch our cool music video. They wanted people to engage with it and interact with it. So when you go, they created this website called I won't let you down.com. That's the name of the song, I Won't Let You Down. You go to that song itself, or that website itself, excuse me, you have the ability to make your own visualization. So they've taken hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people and into this large visualization. And so they're doing it in a virtual digital style as well. So you can go and create your own, storyboard and anything that you really want to do on this website, while it also teaches people how they did it, behind the scenes videos, things like that. And so at the bottom of this pre-visualization slide, you have this play and share it. And so they have encouraged people to share all of this information itself. So we have the link kind of popping up in the chat area for anyone to actually watch it. We'll be able to get that in a little bit. But the main point of this is that it's good content because it's not only intriguing, but they've tied it together with their social campaign as well. So you create this pre-visualization and you send it out to all your friends and say, hey, go check it out. And then they have people come back to the website and really drive the overall idea of tying social and search together. So what we saw with this is before their launch came out, so we took the time, September 24th to October 24th, and OK Go, the band itself, had about 21,000 total mentions on all different walks of social, blogs, forums, and news itself. Very, looking at their tweet mentions, that's very consistent. The trend is pretty common. About 38,000 Twitter mentions, 1,200 a day, things like that. So they're a popular band, and that's impressive. So after they've launched this website and launched their song itself and the whole engagement value of this campaign, they saw a 285% increase in total mentions on social. So Twitter grew like crazy, and blogs started writing about it, and news articles started posting about it. On Twitter specifically, they grew 280% in mentions alone. And you can see on October 27th, the date that they launched their site, spikes went crazy. You can barely see the beginning. And so you can see that the mentions and the number of tweets per hour just about that one campaign really grew the social awareness. And so a lot of people that didn't know who OK Go were, they now are, wanting to learn about them more. So they're going to search and they're looking for it and saying, who is OK Go? And you can see in October of this year, there's the searches for the keyword OK Go increased substantially. And the reason is because of that social campaign that they had. So they had good content in the video. They had a good website with its own URL with good engagement factors. And so they've changed the search behavior itself, whether it be through word of mouth or through appropriate real channel distribution. They affected the search landscape. And so when you have your social activity and your search behavior being shifted, then you start to get more links, you start to grow in rankings, and then eventually you get engaged, qualified traffic and or leads. For Honda, the value is that they're seeing these new drones in this music video, and their sponsor is right at the top of the website. So the value for them is massive. For OK Go, it's more awareness across all channels. And so being able to dictate that search behavior is the real crux of what we're trying to get to with tying search and social together. So the last thing about this campaign, before that website launched and the music video launched, you can see on the left that the search results page for OK Go itself. They had their Wikipedia page. They had some blog mentions and news articles and things like that. Nothing real crazy. Now afterwards, on the right, you see that it's a much more blown out search results page. They have their home page. They also have their music video resulting in the second position. They have the whole knowledge graph taking up and including the profiles, social profiles on the bottom right. So, and then additionally, result number 4 is their Facebook page. So being able to own that entire landscape, that entire search real estate is really, really valuable. So, we used to say that you just be able to optimize and tweak parts of your website to get higher in rankings. Now you need to be able to push really strong, unique content across various channels to really have an impact like this on the search results pages. And they said that social doesn't have impact on search. Well, this clearly shows that it does, as result number 2 and result number 4 and the profile links on the knowledge graph are showing up. So being able to tie all of those together with the techniques that we've kind of discussed, the optimizations that are valuable from a technical side of it, but also from the distribution side on the social change, then you're really going to be able to hammer home the search behavior and really grow your organic and social, and referral traffic. So that does conclude my presentation. I'm happy to take questions or any other comments about the presentation.
Mike, thanks very much. Fantastic presentation. We do have a few minutes for questions. If anybody would like to, they can raise their hand or type it into the chat. We can try to bring you on audio if you would like.
Whoever's daring enough.
Mike, in terms of, we did have that one question early on. Mm-hmm. Let me just try and pull it up about, are there any new platforms that people should be considering? What's the new Twitter or Facebook out there right now?
It's a good question. It really depends on what audience that you're really trying to hit up on. So each social platform has a real dedicated audience. Obviously, Facebook is the largest and it's a little bit more vast, so you can really pinpoint really any type of audience there. In terms of Twitter, there are different age demographics that use Twitter and the way that they use Twitter as well. So sometimes it's just used as a news aggregator for them, but other times people really interact with Twitter. So I would say the most important thing for people to understand in terms of what the new social platform is really actually understanding your audience first and seeing where they're going. So I can tell you a gamut of other social platforms. There's obviously Pinterest and Instagram are obviously growing rapidly, but they're for very distinct audiences. You also have Vine. YouTube is still a massive search engine, but also a social platform as well. It's the second largest search engine in the world. You have Google, obviously, and then YouTube has an amazing share of the people searching on it. So I would say understanding the users and where they are in their audience itself and seeing where they interact. Because, if you're trying to reach 50 to 60-year-old men and you feel that, Pinterest is the best location for you, then you're clearly not understanding which platform is really being valued. Pinterest is not necessarily of the masculine audience members, but it is growing that way. But I would say understanding the nuances of your audience and then finding the social platforms that they're using. So if it's a younger audience, then we would say maybe Vine or Snapchat. And if it's an older audience, then possibly Facebook or Google Plus if they're in the business world.
Mike, we do have a question from Lisa. What recommendations do you have for business-to-business engagement on social media besides LinkedIn?
That's a good question. So one of the things that we recommend for a lot of our clients is the rule of thirds. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's one like formula that creates success strictly for business to business, but the rule of thirds that we kind of say is share 1/3 of your branded content. So if it's a new press release or a blog post or a new video, that's great. The other third that you want to be addressing is other good content that's in your industry itself. So really taking a look at who your competitors are and seeing what they're writing about and actually leveraging them. Even that, you can strike up a good relationship with a lot of your competitors and be able to get links from them, but also really grow the audience that you're really trying to hit upon. If they're competitors of yours, then they're clearly going to be fighting for that same type of content. So if you actually take that step ahead and say, well, we really like the content that you're actually putting out there, and we're going to put it out there as well, then it's getting trust amongst your social users. And then the last is engaging with those users itself and that audience. So commenting, using it as a reputation management platform as well. So I'm speaking mostly to Facebook on this because it is just the largest the largest audience, but it's also the most dynamic in terms of finding the best, groups and targeting that is available, whether it be geo-targeting or ages and, that type of campaign that you could be running on Facebook that you are already running on LinkedIn is very valuable because you are infiltrating into another audience and another market itself. So LinkedIn, you just have mostly business-minded individuals that might not actually be interested in reading content on LinkedIn, but they're most definitely interested in reading content on Facebook. So like I said, understanding your audience and in using the other social networks available. Like I said, if your audience does use Twitter a lot, then I would highly recommend using Twitter to grow your B2B campaigns.
Mike, we have a flurry of questions coming in. From Elena, she asks, you mentioned that Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus posts with links contribute to higher rankings in search. Is LinkedIn important? What about Instagram and other social sites?
It's a good question. I would say that LinkedIn is just as important. The reason that Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus have more value. The reason Google Plus is because most people search on Google, and they are obviously going to have their results showing up higher. On Twitter, you can see that there is an integration with the content that's being put out on Twitter, and if the search results are speaking to it, then they do leverage that, as well as Facebook. I would say in terms of Pinterest and Instagram and things like that, there are values, but they are a little bit more indirect than Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. So as we were saying, being able to push content and build brand awareness through not your immediate direct response idea. So you may just have people looking at your brand's Instagram page because it has really beautiful pictures. But if you don't have links in it, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's good to have a link in there, but the click-through rate on some of those images isn't very high, and especially on Instagram because you can't actually put a link on there, or a hyperlink. So if you're having a hard time being able to get links from different social channels, then take it one step back a little bit more and understand that brand awareness is still providing a change in the search behavior, and it's providing that understanding of what your brand does. So if you're new to the marketplace, then you are pretty much going to be focusing on brand awareness alone in a singular form because you're really not going to be getting the trust of a user. So I do believe that all social platforms, if they speak to the audience appropriately, would be valuable to put content on. It just depends on if you're expecting to get traffic from that link or not. And some of those social platforms don't even allow links.
Mike, this question comes in from Ryan. Does Google factor in the number of Facebook likes on a post into their search engine results?
No, they do not. They tried to. So Matt Cutts tried to. Matt Cutts is essentially the king at Google in terms of search marketing. And so they're about a year or so ago, they attempted to try to get all of the information from searchers, or excuse me, social networks, and really see the direct social actions, so Facebook likes, retweets, or even plus ones. But he stated that Google had made the attempts to incorporate that information into the algorithm, the Google algorithm, but it became far too difficult to organize and quantify, just because there's personalization factors, there's privacy issues, but also just the large amount of data that was there. The number of likes that you have on a post or the number of shares, it does not play a factor into, or at least what we've been told. We obviously can't see under the hood of all Google's algorithms, but from what Matt Cutts has said, they do not play a role into the algorithm right now. And they said that they will not either, but there is doubts to that claim, because if you do look at particular Google Plus posts, if it has more posts or plus ones, then a lot of times they do show up higher in rankings. So, you know, it's kind of where your bread is buttered kind of thing, and Google obviously has built Google Plus for a reason. So they are trying to push the value to it. So you may see true data showing up that if you have more plus ones on a particular post, you may see it more commonly in the search results pages.
Mike, interesting question from Juan. How do you deal with a bilingual audience with SEO and social media? Do you recommend creating separate pages and separate fan pages?
Ooh, that's a very good question. So in terms of the website itself, and then I can go to the social channels as well. For the website, you obviously want to be able to speak to that audience, and if it's a bilingual audience, then you need to be able to mark up your site and have either it be a separate site, so if it's you know, if it's Chinese or Spanish or whatever it may be, having that instance of your website in that particular language, but then also having your rel equals alternate tag on your website itself, so indicating to the search engine, I also have a site that is speaking to this language as well. So if you are based in a different country, say you're based in Canada, your business is, and you still have an English-speaking audience, then you want to have, you know, make sure that your website has the rel equals alternate tag, but also a higher value to that is including your servers in that country itself. You have higher ranking ability when your servers are in the country that you have the domain for. So if it's google.ca, which is the Canadian TLD, then you have the ability to rank higher for that. So from a website side of things, it's a little bit easier because of just kind of changes in the code and then having two separate instances of your site. For social pages, it would be beneficial to have two pages for bilingual users. The reason for this is if one audience member, if you had one brand page and you had both, say you have various languages speaking onto that page, then you're alienating another audience itself. So being able to create a page for, you know, say it was R2 integrated Chinese, and you would create that Facebook page and have it strictly be based off of you know, the Mandarin or whether it be Spanish or any other language. So that is a very good question, and the
Mike, you just broke up there at the end there, but I think we got it.
Heavily geo-targeted product, and you might want to switch as well.
I think the Windows update window crushed your audio just a little bit, but
sorry.
It's okay. I think we got the full gist of the answer.
Okay.
We don't have any other questions, and we're just hitting the top of the hour, so I want to respect everybody's schedule and time. Fantastic presentation today, Mike. Thank you very much. The webinar will be posted online on the website in the coming days, and we'll send out a notice about that. And please fill out the survey on your exit out. It helps us to assess today's webinar and improve for future ones. And we thank you all for your time. And Mike, thanks again. And everyone,